What's up guys, this is Steel, welcome to another tutorial. What I'm gonna talk about on this one is confidence. And this is mostly theoretical than practical, although I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on the second part of the video. But this is not the type of video where I tell you to draw lines in one stroke, stuff like that. This is more like a different take. Alright, so what is confidence? For the sake of the tutorial, let's say there is the situational confidence and there is core confidence. Situational confidence is the type of confidence where you do something many times and it becomes second nature, like walking, opening a bottle, driving. It's the type of confidence that comes with competence, right? You can also call it competence. And yeah, you do something over and over again, and then you don't even think about your ability to do it. You just do it casually. And this can be the craft itself, like drawing, painting, whatever. So for example, let's say you are drawing for the last 2 decades, and at this point you would be very comfortable with the craft, right? You probably experimented with lots of different techniques, methods, you've done lots of mistakes, learned from them. So yeah, it's lots of track record, trial and error. And it can also be a specific subject or subtopic. For example, I'm drawing figures for a long time now. And at this point, I'm very comfortable with it, right? I'm not the best, obviously, but drawing a figure is not a big deal at this point. So yeah, another example would be, let's say you are drawing crocodiles for the last 10 years, right? At this point, you would be very comfortable drawing crocodiles because, you know everything about crocodiles. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You just do something over and over again, and then you could say to yourself, I've done it a dozen times, and yeah, it's no big deal. And core confidence is like your initial inner confidence, right? Your confidence and belief in your initial worth, belief in what you are going to say, draw, paint, has value, at least potentially. And this is more at the being level than, doing level. If you think about situational confidence, it's more about what you do and what you have. Core confidence is, it's the basic self-trust, basic self-acceptance, the confidence that doesn't depend on anything external, right? Excluding anything you do or have. And this is not something you obtain or achieve. This is something you already have. This is something you already are, right? And it's also not the type of confidence where you pound on your chest like a chimp, all dominating. It's more about being yourself, openly, honestly, right? It's being vulnerable, like children are. If you think about children, they don't have the burdens and responsibilities of the adult life, right? They are just carefree, expressive, honest. They just draw or paint joyfully. So yeah, it's that type of confidence. And being ourselves completely open and vulnerable is, for most people, one of the scariest things in the existence. And sometimes dangerous, depending on where you live. So while we were growing up, most of us don't want unnecessary drama or conflict. We don't want to be labeled. Or at best, we don't want to stand out. Because when you stand out, you become a target. So we kind of conform and adapt already established, safe-to-play personas, behavior patterns, thinking patterns that's accepted by our parents, peers, society, and so on. And it's kind of same with art, right? Especially when we are starting, there's this tendency to adapt already established styles or methods that's secure or safe. And that's okay, that's all good. But ultimately, you want to bring something new to the table. By the way, a side note, I'm not saying you shouldn't draw in a specific style or you shouldn't paint in a specific style. I draw in different styles all the time. I study different styles all the time. But the reason you are doing it should be because you really love it, right? And it's authentic to you. You really resonate with it. And not because you can get a job or get likes or some other bullshit reason like that. So take Glen Keane, for example, right? Disney animator, one of the best artists I know. He draws in Disney style, but if you look at his sketches, you can't mistake it, right? It's completely him. Anytime I come across his sketches, I can instantly pinpoint that's him. So it's Disney style, but also very authentic and unique. And that's because he really owns it, right? He adds that authenticity and personality to it. So yeah, it should be really something that you love. Anyway, so yeah, vulnerability is so powerful. It connects you to your emotions. It connects you to other people like nothing else. And as I said, being yourself completely, openly and honestly, scary. And at the same time, it's the most powerful thing you can be. And that's the main challenge with art, right? Expressing ourselves openly and honestly. You probably heard the saying, it's like walking naked in the public. Because, anyone can learn to draw or paint, but this part takes real courage and a commitment to self-actualization, doing the work. So yeah, also when you become vulnerable, that creative energy starts flowing out more and more. That childlike part of ourselves, it's vulnerable at the same time. It's all powerful. And these two types of confidence are not substitutes for each other. They are complementary. For example, just because you feel confident doesn't mean you can pilot a spaceship, right? So just because you feel confident doesn't mean you don't need the techniques or the methods, etc. So yeah. All right, so let's talk about some practical stuff, and I'm gonna dive a bit deeper on these topics. And these might seem like they have nothing to do with confidence, but trust me, they really do. So let's start with situational confidence. As I said, to master a skill or a craft takes a long time. And it's not just doing it a lot, right? Just doing it a lot, not enough. Depending on how much intention, awareness, and consciousness you bring to your practices can make that time longer or shorter. So the first question is, so what now? Are you going to wait until you master the skill or the craft to be confident? Not at all. First and most important thing is your philosophy, right? Your philosophy determines your attitude. And by philosophy, I don't mean in the academic sense. It's more about your mindset, right? So when it comes to mindset, the best thing you can do for yourself is to adapt a growth mindset. There's an amazing book on this topic called Mindset, written by Carol Dweck. Recommended read, check it out. I'm not going to go into details, but basically what she talks about in the book is, there's the fixed mindset and there's the growth mindset. Simply, fixed mindset believes everything is fixed and you can't change. Growth mindset believes you can pretty much learn any skill you need. You can change most of your traits and stuff like that. So yeah, it's basically saying I can change, right? And the second question is, how are you going to sustain that long-term focus and motivation? And the answer is purpose and meaning, right? So let's talk about that a bit. And this is not only mastering a skill, this actually applies anything in life. So we have this scheme, right? What, why, and how. Usually what people do is they want something and then they jump right into the how part and try to figure out how to do it. It might work on the short term, but it doesn't work long term. Because reasons come first, and if you don't have a strong reason, it's 100% guaranteed at some point you'll lose motivation, life will happen, you'll drift off, or lose confidence, or, lose faith. It's gonna happen, right? So better way to go about it is to figure out what you want and get as clear as you can be, right? Start at the finish line. Just visualize that ultimate ideal. You could say something like, I want to draw like that guy. I want to paint like that guy. This is not about being better than someone else, but if you have some artists that you look up to, you could use them as a point of reference, right? So yeah, you could set some goals And it should be something really meaningful to you, right? I mean, yeah, do what you love is a good advice, but in the level of your soul, right? Not your ego. So, as I said, it's a long journey and it's not always bright and sunny days. It will be tough. And what will keep you going in those dark times are a deep meaning and a strong purpose. And second stage is where you think about why do you want it? The reason and purpose. And really dive deep here, right? Think about it in all levels. How will it benefit you? How will it benefit your family, friends, peers, community? So yeah, try to come up with all the reasons you can and you prioritize them, right? If you think about the reasons, you could think about it as the higher level reasons, practical and lower level reasons. Higher level reasons are oriented towards other people, right? How will it benefit others? And lower level reasons are, our selfish desires. And again, there's no right or wrong reason. Any reason is legit as long as you prioritize them appropriately. So yeah, try to come up with as many reasons as you can. And you have lots of stuff that's oriented towards a goal. And yeah, a strong reason will propel you forward like nothing else, right? Nothing will push you forward like a strong reason, strong purpose. So yeah, not coffee, not money, not fame. And then you can think about the how part. And this is where you figure out the strategy, make a plan, make a schedule, and then just execute. And when it comes to how part, you have the ultimate ideal. What we do is you reverse engineer, right? Because you already know where you want to go. You have that ultimate ideal and you break it down into smaller chunks and make a schedule. And yeah, you just go. So to give you an example, let's say you want to master figure drawing, right? That's the main goal. That's the ultimate ideal. And then you break it down into smaller goals. So if you want to master figure drawing, there are lots of fundamentals you need to learn. These are not all of them, but I'm just throwing ideas out there. So there are stuff like perspective, shapes, forms, structure, anatomy, shading, stuff like that, right? Gesture, proportions. So yeah, these are the main goals. And then you break them down into smaller goals and you keep breaking them down until they become daily actions. For example, if you want to learn perspective, you could schedule a month or 2 weeks, whatever it is, and you keep breaking that goal down until it becomes something like, practice perspective for 2 hours every day, right? Something like that. So yeah, this is the basic approach. Also, measuring your progress is so important. That's why it's best if you make the schedule in a way that you can measure. Also, getting constant feedback is very important because if you don't, you'll just get stuck in an echo chamber. And this is not only for developing a skill, you can apply this to your projects as well. Let's say you want to create your own graphic novel. Again, I'm just throwing ideas out here, but this is roughly how it goes. There's the story, there's the design, penciling, inking, coloring, all that stuff. So yeah, you break the main goal into smaller goals, and then maybe you figure out which parts are you going to do by yourself and which parts are you going to delegate. Let's say you are going to do the penciling, and then, figure out how many pages are there, all that details, and then, you keep breaking the goals down into daily actions. For example, if you are going to do the penciling, you keep breaking them down, and it could end up something like, draw 6 hours every day, right? Something like that. So yeah, having this level of clarity gives you lots of confidence because you know what you want, you know why do you want it, and you know how are you going to do it. And also you are taking action, you are on the path. So yeah, you don't need to wait to reach the finish line. And to be honest, there's no ultimate finish line because finish line always moves. As soon as you achieve something, you start looking for the next thing, right? And also life doesn't go as planned pretty much always. So yeah, Having this kind of direction and, at least some plan gives you lots of confidence. All right, so let's talk about core confidence a little bit more. So what can you do to improve your core confidence? Nothing, actually. It's more about unlearning than learning something new or doing something. It's letting go of conditioning, thinking and behavior patterns that's preventing you from, opening yourself, expressing yourself honestly, all that stuff. So yeah, it's more about that. It's more about, letting go of the bullshit that's in your way. So in the short term, it's all about your mental and emotional state. So putting yourself in a confident state, getting in the zone, putting yourself into flow. These are all skills you can develop. So what I like to do before sitting down to do any creative work, I just find somewhere quiet and, I just chill out, try to find that inner peace, that calm confidence, right? It's not like aggressive confidence. It's not like, competitive confidence. And there's no proper state for every activity, but the common quality of the ideal state is like, you feel okay in your own skin. You feel complete, not needing anything, not hiding behind a persona or, shielding yourself with your ego. Also not fighting with the reality you are in. It might not be perfect, or your circumstances might not be as you want, but you are okay with it, right? And then you operate from that state, right? Because if you are not in that state, anything you will do will be to compensate that lack of not feeling good, not feeling okay, not feeling complete. So yeah, you gotta take good care of yourself first, make that inner child happy. Ideally, core confidence shouldn't depend on anything external. You could drink, smoke, eat junk food, whatever, put yourself into the state, but, it's not sustainable long term. If you do it long enough, eventually you will face the negative consequences and also external stimulus. You might get dependent on them. If you are really gonna do something, it could be, something like meditating, working out, hiking, playing video games. So my principle on this is, there is a healthy way to do it and there is an unhealthy way, right? So one common thing with healthy ways is you pay the price upfront, right? You do the activity first, you pay the price upfront, and then you get or achieve the state, right? For example, if you drink a coffee or eat some candies, you get the state first because you didn't do anything for it. You get the state first and the bill comes later, right? As opposed to if you were working out, you do the work, you pay the price upfront. Maybe it's painful, but after workout finishes, you feel good, right? So the basic quality of the healthy approach is you do the activity first, you pay the price upfront, and then you feel good or whatever, you feel confident, whatever it is. And, all this stuff, the unhealthy ways, drinking, smoking, are like the shortcuts, cheap, dirty versions of the states that you can already generate from within. And they actually hurt your integrity. They hurt your self-respect, confidence. And deep down you didn't earn it, right? So yeah. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life. I'm not here to judge you. We all have our vices. I have my vices, but it becomes a problem when it becomes a default or chronic or when you become dependent on them. So yeah, a glass of water keeps you alive, but too much, you drown in it, right? So also it's important to say, sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? You just feel like shit, and that's that. That's okay, but that's not an excuse not to do whatever you want to do, right? Or not to do whatever you promised yourself to do. So the basic approach is do your best. Try to come from the highest state you can. But if you can't, don't beat yourself up for it, right? Do the best you can with what you have right at that moment. And it will get better and better. And if you are really committed to the journey, you are interested in the long term, right? We are playing the long game. And in the long term, it's all about these three concepts: energy, core beliefs, and identity. So what I mean by energy is like your vibe. So you can think about what kind of emotions you carry around. Some people live in fear chronically. Some people have that low-key anger they carry around. So yeah, everybody has a default emotional tone, and it's important to be aware of them. And if it's something that you don't want, you can get rid of them, right? And these can come from lots of different sources. It can be past traumas, unresolved conflicts. I'm not the expert on this, but these are some key concepts. So you can ask yourself or try to be aware of what is your default emotional tone, right? What emotional state you default back into. And you might not be aware of it. It's kind of tricky. So awareness is really key here. And a part of it can be just conditioning or just habit. So yeah, it's, basically taking care of your emotional state. A good thing to do is, check-ins during the day. You can just, scan your body, like asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Am I tense? Am I relaxed? What kind of emotions I have right now? So yeah, I literally have reminder on my phone popping every hour, like, saying vibe check or something like that, getting me out of my head, keeping me aware of this stuff. So it's so important because basically your vibe shows up in all your creative work. And also once a week, I just wind down, really chill out, meditate, do some inner housekeeping, reflect back. So yeah, it's like emotional housekeeping, right? So you just take care of your emotions, master your emotions. And the next concepts are core beliefs and core identity. And these are also so important. Identity is so powerful. They basically determine the quality of your life. So it's about how you define reality and yourself, right? It's like your core operating system. It's like the answers you give to questions like, what is life? Is it a dance? Is it a battle? Or what do you think about people in general? Are people good, evil? What do you think about yourself? What can you do or can't do? What's possible or impossible for you, or what you deserve or not deserve? So yeah, if you believe life is a game, you have a completely different attitude towards it, as opposed to if you believe life is a war, right? If you think people are evil and greedy, well, you are going to act it out, and maybe that's not the type of life you want. Or if you believe you can achieve something, at least give it a try, right? So yeah, core beliefs and mindset, it's so important. And these are mostly unconscious, right? We don't think about our definitions of the world or ourselves constantly during the day. Best thing you can do on this area is don't get attached to certain beliefs and ideals, right? View them as tools that can take you from point A to point B. If something works, nice, use it. If not, just dispose of it. Because I'm teaching for a long time now, and what I see over and over again is, most people get attached to certain definitions, certain beliefs, and that's kind of preventing them from improving or expressing themselves honestly or being confident. So yeah, remember, no point of view defines reality 100%, right? No one has all the answers. Although it's important to have a solid foundation, at the same time, don't get overly religious or idealistic about any beliefs or ideals. Also, identity is a so powerful force in our psychology that our brains do anything in their power to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. For example, if you keep saying to yourself, I can't draw faces, or I'm lazy, guess what's gonna happen? Your brain will work its magic to keep you that way, right? You might think you have control over it, but you don't. You have like 10% control, and the rest of it is subconscious, right? And subconsciously, it's determined by your beliefs, identity at a core level. As a general approach, it's important to not get attached to certain beliefs and ideals. These are just tools, right? Don't get attached to them. So one great practice is something called Socratic questioning, where you question your mind, question every thought your mind brings up with logic and reason. Because there are lots of stuff that you might have adapted without considering it or unconsciously. The idea here is to, separate the story your mind is telling you from the facts and find the truth and, dispel the bullshit. And if you think about it, your mind really doesn't give a fuck about your art, your creations. Our minds evolved only to keep us alive, make us survive, right? So it just wants to keep you safe, and it will tell you the stories that will keep you safe over and over again. So it's important to, keep a distance between you and your mind, and then, watch your thoughts, watch your thinking patterns, and then if there's something you don't like, you can change it, right? So mental housekeeping, getting rid of bullshit thoughts, like taking care of your garden, right? And if you really go all the way, the things you'll figure out that's been there all your life will blow your mind out. And yeah, it's like, basic emotional and mental housekeeping. All this stuff contributes to your overall confidence, self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. And more you become aware of things that's preventing you or stifling you down, more you get rid of them. As a result, your overall vibe gets better and better. And when it comes to creativity, there is another amazing practice I do all the time, which is kind of similar to improv exercise in acting. So the idea is you just draw or write compulsively for 5 to 10 minutes. The only criteria is you don't even stop for a second. It doesn't even have to make sense, and it's personal. You don't have to show it to anybody. You just shut down the thinking mind, shut down all the filters, let go of control, and let your subconscious take over. And you just write or draw, right? This exercise connects you to your subconscious, and it's so powerful to get familiar with your subconscious, with your core consciousness. And best time to do it is as soon as you wake up, because the moment you wake up, it's like for 15 minutes, you have this specific type of consciousness called substrate consciousness, where your connection to your subconscious is very strong. You remember your dreams and stuff like that. And as you keep doing this practice, lots of stuff come up. Some of them you might like, some of them makes you cringe. The purpose here is to own whatever comes up, right? And, cultivate that connection. And remember, real confidence is not being perfect. No one is perfect. These practices I talk about is, they are just exercises to move you towards that state of being. Because the funny thing is, most confident people I know don't even think about being confident, right? So it's not about you do something to be confident. It's more about, letting go of not being confident. Let's put it like that. And, it's about that unconditional self-acceptance, owning yourself, being in peace in your own skin, and, not taking yourself too seriously, being able to laugh at your mistakes, all that, and operating from that space. So one last example I want to give might sound weird, but bear with me. I think it will make sense. If you think about it biologically, what part of you is the most creative and life-giving? Our genitals, right? So all throughout the history, phallus was the symbol of fertility, life-giving force. It's all in the mythology and stuff. And at the same time, it's the vulnerable part of the body, right? And it's same psychologically. This is studied in depth psychology a lot. The concept of divine child, the childlike part of yourself I was talking about. It's all powerful, source of all creativity, all genius. And at the same time, it's vulnerable. Right, so when you become vulnerable, that creative energy starts flowing out. So it's more about, becoming vulnerable and, owning yourself, becoming yourself completely, than to adding something extra or doing something. So just want to wrap up with this quote from Moby Dick. In the soul of man, there lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all the horrors of the half-known life. So, we all have that inner light, inner fire, whatever you want to call it. The idea is to remove all the bullshit so your light can shine forth, right? And cultivate that. So, yeah, this is all I got for you on this one. Barely scratched the surface on these topics, but I hope these give you some insights. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I wish you the best and take care.